did happen exactly, Universal?
So at the beginning of the
There.
session, you had gotten your way up to this temple dealie up here, and you were faced by this flower guy, flanked by a couple of these alien, as they would turn out to be, dudes.
Yes.
Yep. Okay, so we got on okay with them. There were some translation troubles. I think it's fair to say they're not. They don't exactly have the same frames of
Ooh,
reference as
robots.
us, but yeah, we ended up convincing them that we can undo what we have done essentially by driving through this graveyard type thing.
Which may or may not turn out to actually be the case.
Yeah. So this giant creature that attacked us the last time is essentially some sort of guardian. Would that be fair to say?
Yep, yeah, that's about right.
So we decided we'd go out back to the graveyard to try and find out a wee bit more about what's going on, see if there's any obvious way that we can kill it. And we sort of need to. Apparently, it'll reform in about a day from the damage that we did to it. So ideally, we would want to strike within that time
Hmm.
in order to deal a killing blow.
Yes.
But when we got out to the graveyard, what happened?
We
found a
found
bunch of
things.
crazy shiz.
I think we discovered that the gravestones did, to some extent, contain the remains and at least the consciousnesses of people
Yes.
who were now just kind of miserable.
Yes, a great
More
many
miserable.
people trapped in torment, apparently as punishment for a multitude of sins.
Yeah. So these are apparently criminals, people who have done terrible things. It's their spirits that have been, well, they're imprisoned basically within this tormenting sort of
But
realm, shall we say?
there were also happiness jellyfish, which are all dead. Well, we found one which is dead, and presumably there were more. So, supposedly this isn't the correct state that things are in. Presumably,
Was it-
maybe.
Was it that the happiness jellyfish were sort of they fed on misery?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that may have been a bit unclear, but essentially the dead one that you found in the grave was kind of by way of, well, memorial slash evidence. In the same, or had been, it was kind of a condemned object in the same way that everything else that is, and everyone else who is stored here,
Yeah.
is condemned. And that was because, as opposed to their usual happifying function, they had been horribly destroyed by presumably the person who was in the particular grave with them.
Okay.
And then, as you ventured into the graveyard towards the end, you disturbed a certain presence which started to assemble and form a aggressive little mini monster out of the gravestones. I think you managed to blow that up or something, and then you hightailed it out of there
Okay.
as the lowering, doom-laden presence of the guardian creature could be felt behind you.
Also, Minim's pretty sure that there's a unifying consciousness underground at a particular place.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yes, you did find evidence of some kind of, yeah, as you described it, a unifying consciousness hidden somewhere among all of the buried gravestones. And
Which go a long way underground as well, by the way.
yes,
Yeah.
It's like a multi-story car park, but down.
also
And of
it
dead
will
things.
have very much confirmed to you the sheer mountainous power that resides in this particular place and guards it. So, I think at the end of the session you were basically, I think you took the Stationmobile out there,
Yeah.
and I think you were hightailing it back to the temple. So just as a reminder, the kind of society there is somewhat sort of ant-like in the sense that there seem to be castes of different types of people who are assigned different tasks and roles and statuses. Pardon me, I still have a cold at the moment.
And
I would say I haven't really found a picture that really quite captures how I'm thinking of the temple, but if you look over on the far right, the general setting of it is kind of like the top picture, so lots of ruined, stone structures and kind of ziggurat type structures and things like that. I would say the temple itself looks the most like, if you look at the picture below it, the big tower which is on the furthest right. It is a tall and rather ornate and currently very much intact structure that seems to course with a certain amount of energy, which you will have seen being essentially kind of focused through the, as it were, like totem pole or stack of large crystals in the middle, which is being tended to by these alien dudes.
okay, so we sort of establish that the temple had been there before the aliens? It wasn't something that they had built.
Yes, it does seem that way. However, it's being either restored or possibly even augmented and beefed up, as it were, by these new arrivals.
Okay. Where are we right now?
Let's say you kind of made it back to the temple, if that is what you would prefer.
Okay. Right.
So you are greeted by the flower guy and his priests, and I assume that he would kind of ask you, what you found and what you saw, and that you will have briefed him on what you saw. And sorry, yeah, go ahead.
Do we I don't know, do we tell them the truth about what we found out there? Is there any reason not to?
So you may recall basically their kind of relationship with the graveyard slash guardian type thing is that they basically left it well enough alone, and they were like, it's not 100% clear why exactly they've occupied this temple and are building it up, but they seem to be wanting to use it for their own purpose, which isn't directly related to the graveyard. But they did say that potentially they could try and reconfigure it into some kind of defensive configuration that would maybe help defend off the creature, although it's by no means a certain defense.
Right. Let's see.
I am very confused.
Yeah.
Both in the game and outside.
Right. So we're talking to this head guy again, are we?
Sure, yeah, the flowers guy.
Flowers guy. Okay.
Russell.
Oh, yes,
Oh yeah, Russell.
How can I forget? Okay, so we'll go to Russell and we'll say, okay, here's what we found, or at least this is what we understand of what we found.
All right.
I'll basically just describe that, there's the markers are all these epitaphs for people who have done terrible things, and possibly horrible things.
I think that's more Russell Steele.
Yeah.
And Fayan. Horrible things.
So yeah, and see what he thinks of that, and
yeah. So basically, he. I won't go into the full dialogue, but essentially he. Well, let's say he, despite the sense of danger and the continuous hustle and bustle of the other castes of creatures around him, it's still not clear entirely how his species, you might say, relate to these other ones. But in any case, he seems to be acting as kind of boss, or at least organizer, and also, I guess you might say, diplomat in this case. In any case, he, let's say he sits you down in a out-of-the-way part of the temple while the others are kind of hustling and bustling around you, and he provides you with some seemingly plant-derived snacks and some like bowls of steaming green tea, which is reasonably pleasant to the taste, albeit a little bit bitter. And he responds thoughtfully to your description of what you found out there. He essentially communicates that as soon as they arrived in this place, they realized that the graveyard itself was obviously a dangerous and condemned place, and they made as much effort as they could not to disturb it. They did sense the presence of a very powerful creature of some kind guarding it, although they had seen precious little of it until you barreled your way through and kind of woke it up, as it were. The way that he reacts to the news about the kind of nature of the graveyard, as it were, is he, let's see. Yeah, so he basically, he says that the graveyard and the sins that caused it to be, put in place, as it were, are referred to in the kind of carvings and writings that are found in this temple, which are currently being basically overwritten by the carvers and engravers who are kind of massed all over the walls and are carving their own designs and diagrams and things like that for their own purposes, basically over the top of the more kind of painted on writings that are existing there already. He basically says it seems that whichever society put together this temple underwent some kind of great tribulation or war, which resulted in the in kind of terrible acts being committed, which were only after the battle was done fully realized by their perpetrators, and as a result they basically rounded up everyone involved and everything involved and buried them there and then abandoned this place. The temple seems to have been originally meant as a combination of, let's see, kind of a mausoleum or memorial on one sense, but also kind of like a reverse lighthouse, as it were, or, well, I guess just a regular lighthouse in the sense that it's supposed to send out a signal that, or not so much a signal, but a kind of field or some kind of device that essentially makes it, or it's supposed to make it impossible to navigate to this place in the first place. In other words, to render it a kind of lost zone. However, it seems, he's kind of admits, as it were, that it seems that their own interference in this place has somehow disrupted that function and allowed you to enter the area. Sorry.
Yeah. There's one thing. Now I might be imagining this, but when we were just looking at the epitaphs on the gravestones,
Yep.
didn't we come across something that said they had destroyed worlds and so forth, like at other planets?
Yes, there was at least one epitaph which referred to that as the sin of the occupant.
Right. So I'm thinking essentially these guys might also be aliens. These graves. I'm wondering if we're getting the whole truth from Russell.
He reacts in his typically inscrutable style with a slight, rustle of his flowers and leaves and appendages and so forth. And he says, perhaps it is not so obvious to you. He uses a certain untranslatable word that seems to indicate something like kind of new worlders or neophytes. But he impresses on you the sheer amount of history that exists in the world, basically, and the sheer number of civilizations and different peoples who have existed in this place far in the past and before and after the time when this temple was made.
Okay.
So he's essentially denying any link or involvement between his kind of clan, as it were, and the people who were responsible for this. I tell you what, you can give me or anyone present can give me kind of the equivalent of a sense motive. Intellect, let's say difficulty 4.
Oh, by the way, are our stats reset?
Yeah, why not? Yeah.
I don't think we really used them last, did we?
Okay.
I didn't.
Imagine that wasn't like a major fight or anything, certainly.
Nah.
Yeah. Okay. So, intellect roll difficulty.
4.
Oh wait,
Well,
this is wrong.
I'll not bother.
Well, it would have probably still worked, right? Because I put the trained in, but target would be 12 otherwise. Yeah, should work.
Yeah. So despite, all right, let's see. So despite your
Sounds about right.
Yeah. I'm gonna. That's not gonna make an intrusion or anything because it's not a 1. So Varix, despite your kind of reticent nature and the fact that you've probably been kind of hanging at the back of this group, probably still trying to get used to your new one-legged stance. You do have very highly developed centers, especially for pheromones and things of that nature. You get the impression that Russell is not being entirely truthful about what he says.
Wow.
Okay.
What an ass.
Can we go and have a look at what is being carved over the old carvings
Well,
on the walls?
better kill them all now, I guess.
Oh yeah.
Sure. So let's see. So when you inspect the walls and so forth, which you are allowed to do, so as I mentioned before, the older designs and things are essentially kind of painted or in some way, dyed onto the wall, and they somewhat resemble kind of hieroglyphs, I guess, and pictographs, and they seem to. There's kind of areas where it's very complicated, and there's lots of very different symbols that you would kind of equivocate to writing, I guess. And then there are some that seem more representative, and quite a lot of them feature great ranks of figures that you kind of get the impression seem to be fighting or in combat or possibly dead. That's the kind of general theme of the designs that you see, old designs that you see in the wall. In terms of the new designs, they remind you, or perhaps they'd remind Hyon in particular, of things like kind of circuit diagrams that are being laid out across the walls with no particular regard or relation to the older designs underneath, and seem to, it's like a great and very detailed kind of circuit pattern that is all connected between the different sections in some particular design or pattern that it's difficult to really interpret. But it seems to be relating to the more, you might say, technical or technological aspects of this structure.
Do these guys have power or any sort of power source that we can?
You will have, or you noticed before that there seemed to be a great source of power, basically powering this kind of temple. It seems to be being focused or trained through this large pillar of kind of red, differently shaped, kind of lathed, you might say, crystals that runs up the center of the temple. And it also seems to be there.
Is anyone else getting Dogface sort of cutting out for about 2 seconds?
Very, sort of slightly intermittently, I don't think right now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, I'll just try. Just let me know if you miss anything important.
Sure.
And one thing that you noticed before about these designs that are being carved into the wall are that they are interrupted at various points by kind of shaped or carved gems that, if this was a circuit board, would kind of correspond to like capacitors and resistors and things like that. And they seem to be glowing as power courses through them. from this temple. So they seem to be trying to repurpose this place as a kind of machine of some kind, and to draw on the power that is latent here.
One one hypothesis I had was maybe what if the whole suffering of those guys is some sort of battery for them?
Oh man.
Again, I've no sort of particular.
Yeah, let's have, I don't know who would be good for this. I guess probably Huon would be the main like technical analyst type thing. So let's have you make a roll on her behalf.
Would it make sense for Minim's sort of unnatural intuition, pattern
yeah, that's good.
seeing
Yeah,
nonsense to work?
Yeah. No, I think that would absolutely occur or be valid in this case. So yeah, go ahead and make me I guess this would be intellect again. Let's say difficulty 4 again as well, to try and suss out the relationship between this temple and the graveyard.
Numenera?
Yep.
Okay, then I can just succeed.
Oh, okay. Dang. All right, so in that case, with your highly developed sense of the weird, you've, especially when you were at the graveyard, you were able to sense the immense power that resided there, seemingly based in some sense underneath the ground, and that is not necessarily the same as, but perhaps responsible for the manifestation of the large guardian creature. And being in this temple, you're also able to sense the great kind of energy that is in some way powering it. And you are indeed, as you perhaps withdraw a little and close your eyes and try and meditate or reflect on the signals and sensation of power that is coursing through you, having now closely investigated both sites, you are indeed able to discern that the energy seems to be basically the same.
I'm thinking that there'd be some sort of similarity just in like the way the circuits are moving around, and maybe the way the frequencies and stuff were working down
Yeah,
the other
exactly.
place, kind of thing. Just kind of those sorts of immediate gut feelings.
Yeah, I think the way it would come across to you is that the energies have the same kind of timbre or tone.
Right.
Yeah, I suppose Minim just sort of communicates that this this feels the same as when we were back there,
Yeah.
Back where? Sorry, I.
back
Yeah.
in the
Sorry, back in the
graveyard.
Okay.
And just to impress on you again, the sheer magnitude of this power is very immense.
Have we straight up asked the dude, Russell, what he's doing here, or what they're doing here, I should say?
I think at the beginning you did kind of ask, but he didn't give a very easily interpretable answer.
That's right.
It seemed to be of the gist that they were, well, as you just discerned before, that they're basically trying to repurpose the power of this temple for, I think he described it as research and astrology. That they're trying to, let's see. Let's just say that you press him further about what they're doing, and he communicates something that is rather difficult to interpret, but it seems to be along the lines that they want to use this as some kind of computational / navigational device, and also to use its signaling capabilities in order to, let's see. Let's say he used the phrase to communicate with some distant relatives.
Right.
He's calling reinforcements.
Yeah, I'm getting a bad vibe of this guy. Huh.
As you, let's say that as you keep investigating and closely, inspecting all of these carvings that they're doing and asking questions and so forth, the nominally kind of hospitable and welcoming nature that he displayed at first becomes increasingly strained. And he starts to become more insistent and to turn the topic back further and further to the fact that you have intruded on this place, even if it was inadvertently, and provoked this being. Which again, he makes no specific acknowledgement that it is related to the graveyard, although you are picking up that impression.
He makes no what, sorry?
He makes no specific reference to the fact that the graveyard and this temple may be linked, but he is certainly trying to still insist that having caused a problem, that you attempt to help him deal with it.
Oh, also,
But you
also,
also-
I only just realised that this might be relevant. Maybe it's not, but I picked up a esotery for the tier up, a tier 5 esotery,
Yep.
called True Senses, which is just an enabler. It's always on,
Mhm.
and it means that Minim can see through all kinds of illusions. I don't know exactly what Russell's made of. Maybe it's literal physical flowers, and it's not going to make any difference. But I'm wondering if Minim can now can perceive something different there.
Interesting. So let's see.
It's one of those
Let's
DM's
see.
worst nightmares powers.
No, I think I like it.
Okay.
As you, okay, so
I mean, don't. I mean, if if it really wouldn't work, don't feel like you have to throw me a bone.
no. So you will recall that as you investigated the graveyard, you saw a variety of kind of basically alien kind of figures trapped inside the graveyard themselves. Some of them seem to have been essentially put on display, in those are the ones who kind of have their faces poking out of the graveyard. But there are some also who are just basically kind of mummified or otherwise stored inside the sarcophaguses. But in any case, they mostly seem to share a particular form, which is kind of basically humanoid, but let's see.
With a funny forehead.
Yeah, they don't look like the alien guys who are working on this temple. I don't know. I guess I'm thinking something like imagine the kind of Batarians from Mass Effect 3,
Yes.
but then just kind of mutate them and make them more warped and kind of hunched and somewhat muscular, I guess, as well.
Raisins for heads with 6 eyes.
Something like that, yeah. And
That alien dude we met before, who attacked us, he doesn't look in any way similar.
sorry, which alien dude was
You know,
that?
the guy
Who
who
fell down the hole.
Yeah, made a grand exit.
Oh, that no, that was very. He doesn't seem to be related to them.
Okay.
However, Minim, as you use your newly keen and senses that are able to cut through any illusion or deception, you're basically able to discern the form of the figure who is kind of trapped behind all these flowers and whatnot, and it is the same or very similar to the ones who were trapped in the graveyards. However, it almost seems more like a it seems very old, basically, almost to the point of kind of seeming almost like a reanimated corpse, but completely obscured behind this layer of flowers and so forth. And just as a reminder, you will have kind of perceived before that this creature or entity seems to be in some way acting as a kind of like the equivalent, I guess you might say, of a bit like a queen in an ant colony, in the sense that it is kind of directing just kind of directing the movements and the organization of the alien guys who are working on this temple.
Nice.
Well, using all of I think he'd be using his significant and very well practiced social graces here and just straight up ask the guy, um, "Why do you look like the ones in the graves?"
Um, all right. So as when you ask that, he does that. He does the same thing he did before, where rather than literally turning around to face you, he just kind of reconfigures all his plants and stuff that are surrounding him so that, his front becomes the side that is facing you, if that makes sense. And he,
Minim's staring at him very intently.
let's see.
My hand is casually coming to rest closer to the hilt of my sword.
That may be a good instinct, as when Minim asks this question, basically there is all of the aliens and stuff who are kind of working, not all throughout the temple, let's say, but just in the immediate area around you, which, for the sake of example, let's say it's on the kind of ground floor or so. Actually, no, let's say it's on a kind of interior balcony or walkway that is, let's say, a couple of stories up and is running around the inside wall. And there's a kind of table and some seats, which is where you've been discussing things. Anyway, when you confront him with that accusation, basically, the aliens and stuff immediately around this area stop their various work, whether it's hauling or carving or whatever. They don't take any immediately aggressive action, but they do turn their attention towards you. As Russell, after a slight pause, and in a newly frosty tone, as far as you can pick it up, through the translation that is being provided by his attending priests, essentially, he kind of repeats the message he said before about there being, all kinds of different people and so forth, and basically reprimands you for trying to understand orders and situations which you are not equipped to do. So he's kind of fobbing you off, essentially, in a haughty manner.
You basically contradicted yourself there, because you said that you were, nothing to do with these guys, and clearly you are, because of the similarity in the.
So you're kind of confronting him more directly now about this point and kind of accusing him of lying, essentially. And let's see. Yeah, I think so. At this stage, the atmosphere is becoming increasingly cold and frosty as you call him out on this. And let's see. I'm just trying to think exactly how he would react.
I'd like to quickly make myself very resistant to lasers.
I'm going to very quickly hide behind Minim.
All right. Let's see. I guess essentially his reaction is going to be not to specifically acknowledge the accusation you're making, but to draw himself up and somewhat like sprout and blossom his plants and flowers and stuff that are surrounding him.
Sorry, somewhat.
Somewhat kind of enlarge and kind of blossom out and grow out the covering of plants and flowers and leaves and things that are surrounding him, and essentially say something along the lines of, if all you're going to bring to this situation is accusations and insinuations on top of the danger that you have already brought, then I think you should be on your way. And he and the aliens and stuff surrounding and flanking him simply regard you all in a rather tense standoff kind of fashion. How about you quickly sum up the situation for Bean?
Bean, have you yet? Did you get around to watching the last sessione?
I was in the last session, wasn't I?
You were. Never mind.
Yes.
Okay.
So what we've done so far is, how we were going back to the pyramid.
Yeah.
We got there and we've had a little chat with Russell, and
I'm glad we kept that name. I'm so
Yes.
glad.
He hasn't exactly been especially forthcoming, um, and because I've now got magic eyes,
Ooh.
I managed to see that he was kind of the same as the aliens in the graves, and just straight up asked him what that's all about, and he
Hmm.
was like, "Don't ask," and then Nye was like, "Actually, yes." And now he's just sort of getting a bit more upset, and he's blooming everywhere or something.
He's blooming everywhere. What do you mean by that?
Almost as if he's trying to more fully cover himself up in the encrustation of flowers and leaves and so forth that covers him.
Oh, so there's no more leaves falling on the ground or anything because those were some nice petals.
Let's say there's still plenty of those falling on the ground around
Okay.
his feet.
Right, I imagine I've just emerged from some sort of high because that fits.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll just go along with whatever you were at this point in the conversation.
All right, so let's say that as the confrontation comes to a somewhat awkward kind of point, suddenly suddenly the temple around you kind of gives a brief shudder and a kind of moan, and there is a rumble that seems to be coming from basically below ground as you hear. Let's see, it's not just an undifferentiated rumble. There's kind of low scraping sounds and trundling and so forth. As it seems that some kind of mechanism or something beneath the temple is coming to life, and at the same time, the various kind of basically gemstones or whatever that are kind of inset into the walls in various patterns around it. They light up in a orange color mostly, various different shades depending on the different lights, but that is the general color. Some of them are kind of flashing in various patterns, and they seem to be, let's see, I guess. Yeah, I guess Minim, you can do it. If you give me another Numenera check, and I'm going to make this one difficulty 6
Boy,
to try and interpret exactly what is being signaled within the temple.
what is being signaled? Doop.
Yay!
Nice.
All right, nice. So what you're able to discern is that basically, well, first of all, as might be obvious enough, this is basically an alarm, but what you are further able to tell with your successful check is that basically, let's see, put it this way: the systems that are being activated and are displaying things or trying to activate some kind of functions of the temple are the older configurations and scrollings and so forth on the wall. However, the systems seem to have been disrupted and I guess kind of rerouted and reconfigured by the newer work that is going on in the temple. But nevertheless, so what you're picking up is that the temple is trying to convey is a alarm, and so you've heard before that part of the function of this temple is to serve as a sort of lighthouse / alarm station set up to kind of monitor and possibly control in some way the graveyard site, or what Russell called the repository. And secondly, you're able to pick up essentially I don't know, you might call it a danger code. And it is conveying basically not quite unauthorized, but unexpected or uncontrolled activation of a defense system. So that is what the temple is like trying to respond to. However, because of the modifications that have been made to it, it is, some of the systems are short-circuited or cut, and therefore it is not fully activating. And also the unexpected surge of power essentially that this is causing is seems to also be causing havoc within the newer systems that are being set up as they receive all kinds of unexpected signals and voltages, as it were, flowing across systems where they shouldn't be, and it basically seems to be causing all kinds of mayhem. And immediately all of the aliens who are working on these things and still in the process of making carvings and so forth, they suddenly go into disarray as whatever kind of programs and so forth, as it were, are dictating their tasks get disrupted and kind of cancelled and things of that nature.
Universal's gone again.
Oh no.
Is he just muted, maybe? While he drinks or eats or talks?
I wonder if he
Oh,
can still
no, it's
hear
not.
us.
He's got an ARG
No.
in the... Okay.
An ARG?
There's an ARG in the Discord.
ARG. Let's see whether he is able to fix his ARG and de-ARG himself. All right, let's say that, so in the meantime, actually, let's carry on until he gets back. So
Sure.
all of this is suddenly occurring, and the temple is kind of blaring with these, I don't know, almost whale-like alarm signals audibly. And Minim has been able to pick up some details or indication of what it is trying to do and what the situation is
I think
there.
anything that Minim's capable of sort of understanding about anything kind of has to be something that would be understandable by, like, I don't know, like a child sort of thing. It's got to be like, something that's directional or something that can be summed up in terms of, like
Okay, yeah,
two or
that makes
three
sense.
words kind of thing. Like, I think at this
Yeah.
point, with what he's sort of gathered, he would just be straight up asking Russell, you know, um, um, who are you
Right.
calling to? Why are you asking for help? Some things like that. It's very, very pointed, blunt, direct questions.
Yeah, for sure.
Pointed
And I guess in simpler terms, what you're getting from the temple
It's
is
like a snooker cue.
threat approaching, and the temple is trying to somehow react to and control that, but it is broken. And as you ply Russell with questions, let's see. He once again directs himself towards you, and let's say that the flowers and stuff surrounding him have taken on, as it were, a more aggressive configuration, and as you see more kind of loops of kind of thorns and just generally dangerous seeming flora surrounding him. Oh. Nye's just disappeared. Let's see if he comes back in.
Oh, geez, we've lost Nye. No, wait, Nye is universal.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I'm confused. Okay.
Oh, he's saying he's going to
Lost.
have to sit this one out.
Oh, snap.
Oh.
Well, we still have 3, so I guess we'll just have to soldier on. And Fayan will, as usual, be slightly at a loss as to what the situation is. We'll just have to see how he reacts. Okay, so basically, as you ply him with these questions, he takes on a literally more prickly demeanor. He walks towards you. He takes a few sharp steps towards you. But unless you make any immediate instinctual reaction to that, it becomes clear that he's basically doing that in order to, step away from the priests, let's say, who are kind of flanking him. And he...
Sorry. When you say flanking him, are they facing off against him as well, or just backing him
No.
up?
So he's generally had. If you look on the picture of the aliens just to the right of Russell, on the top left, there have been 2 of those dudes who have been kind of attending him, and also providing the kind of
Oh,
transportation.
okay. What is that thing? Is that a... some sort of staff they're holding. Okay, right. Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm
so they've
concluding now.
had these kind of staffs, and they've been using those in part to provide translation, basically, of a somewhat crude nature, but still reasonably effective at rendering what Russell says into the truth, which is what you
Oh
speak.
yes. There's a couple of images, by the way, that weren't there last time. Is that just for flavour or is something else?
Yeah, so basically, I couldn't really find a picture that really accurately got what the temple is, but basically the setting where it's kind of set, the environment around it, is kind of
Okay.
shown in the top picture. And the structure of the temple tower itself is, if you look at the bottom picture, it's the rightmost one.
Okay.
So that kind of glowing tower is set inside the jungle-y type place.
Okay. So I'll be
Uh,
quiet and let you say. Oh, we got Nye.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hello. Right.
Hello.
I'm going to try coming back, not streaming, see if that.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
That should be fine as long as we
Poor
got
Jim.
Takuna
Becky,
is
you-
recording.
Becky, you had no stream, then absolutely nothing. Because that would suck.
No, that's all good. We'll take what we got. So, as I was saying, so how Russell is kind of reacting to this is literally in a thorny manner, and he steps forward away from his kind of priest and his entourage to talk to you directly. And he actually, so you've been hearing him, his way of speaking is this kind of I don't know, crooning, keening, but also kind of rustly, hissy kind of noise that is emerging from these plants and things. And he is, having listened to you talk and so forth for a certain amount of time, he is able to render his own rather inhuman mode of speech into a at least vaguely passable replication of the truth as he whispers to yourself, as he kind of whispers to you. Something along the lines of like, why are you prying into business that is not your own? You have a debt to repay. And he essentially says, let's say he turns himself south, so kind of in the direction of the graveyard, and he makes a couple of gestures towards the priests flanking him, and they attend to some controls nearby, and the part of the wall of the temple, and just to remind you, you're like a couple of stories up on a kind of walkway. Part of the wall basically becomes transparent and like glass, as it suddenly has a view out over the desert to the south, and you can see a great formation of kind of dust and sand and wind drawing up like the base of a tornado or something around the site of the graveyard, basically. And it seems like, just as the temple was indicating, there's some kind of large energy or presence starting to form there. And Russell says something like, the matter is at hand, we must attend to it. And he, after that, basically, he withdraws from you and he starts rattling off kind of commands, as it were, to all the creatures around them. So it takes a little moment, but they quickly reorganize into a different set of tasks from before, and they basically start kind of manning stations, as it were, that are set around this temple, kind of control panels and things like that, and working on those and trying to get the temple into a functional state. So basically, he is ignoring your questions and just insisting that you help with this situation or leave.
Right.
Rude.
Huddle, guys. Huddle. And get everyone to go into like a huddle.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, huddling.
right, okay. Keep my voice down just in case he's listening. I don't know if they're going to translate or what, but it's like right.
Barracks is just like he's right on top of the huddle, and his arms are just like enclosing everybody's shoulders.
That's fine. I'm still okay with this. So guys, do we really trust this guy when he says what he's trying to say about how it's important we kill this thing? I mean,
No.
yeah, it seems a bit suspicious. I'm not quite sure he's not got some massive ulterior motive. And
Do you remember
with-
the other wolf, like the first wolf we encountered?
Oh yeah, the
Kinda-
nice wolf.
Oh, he was so nice.
He was
Yeah.
so nice.
And they seem to have came from a similar sort of
Well, as the first wolf, you think they came from the same planet?
No, there was there was some sort of connection between that wolf and the big wolf.
Oh, okay. Ooh,
I think.
ooh. Are you saying we should go down and make friends with the smaller wolf, feed him some strawberries, and have a conversation
Sure,
with
if it
him?
would be possible.
Using some plane, because that would be kind of cool. And
I want to ride it.
Yeah, well,
well, it looked like it was made out of energy or something, so I'm not sure how well that'll work. But it would be cool to try.
mm,
Yeah, so I'm probably not thinking all cylinders right now, but it would be cool. And yeah,
So they were basically, although there are obvious differences in how they appear, and in particular they're both very extremely large and seemingly semi kind of spectral or in some way not completely physical creatures in a basically canine form, so they've certainly got that much between them. And yeah, basically they seem like the same kind of creature. However, the guardian that is guarding the graveyard, beyond just being much bigger, seems to be augmented by the actual physical matter of the graveyard, which is able to kind of pull into itself, and it seemed to possess much more power, which was in some way related to the presence underground in the depths of the graveyard.
if we could get, what if? Now this is blue sky thinking. But what if we could get in contact with the smaller wolf, befriend it, if we haven't already, and I don't know, sort of show it that it can do something similar. It maybe show it that it could take on some sort of larger form to fight on our behalf.
You suggest we pit two wolves against each other?
Maybe.
They could
Or, you know,
work.
maybe the other wolf is also nice, and we just need to convince him that we
Yeah.
are not bad people.
There's
That's
also
the
the
beauty.
mind underground.
There's a mine underground.
Mind. Some sort of
Oh, yeah.
sort of frequency coalescence,
I thought
deep
that was
under
the
the
giant
graveyard.
wolf thing. Is it not? Do you think?
potentially.
Something else.
But it's
I
another
think,
it's another lead.
I think you picked up at various points that it seems like the let's call it the Guardian is a. It's not that it is probably the same presence that is lying underground, but it is rather a manifestation or a pawn of that presence.
It's certainly max suspicious though.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I don't think we're going to get any answers from these guys, and they seem a bit suspect. But
Maybe we can delay them.
well, what are they? What's their plan? Has anything happened while I was preoccupied?
So it's not. They haven't really immediately told you too much about what they're doing, but it seems pretty clear. They mentioned before that they may be able to quickly convert the power of the temple into some kind of a defensive use, and that would seem to be what they're trying to do at the moment. But they're having some difficulty with it because, they hadn't finished their work, and this is all incomplete. So they're doing their best to try and salvage together what functionality they can.
Okay.
Uh,
I don't know. I think, well, either way, we're getting out of here. Getting the hell out of Dodge.
Yeah.
Because whatever they're doing, I don't think we want to be part of it unless we know we're on the right side. So, I
So
say
the
we.
last thing that Russell indicated to you was that he basically expects you to help with this situation. He said, let's see. I think anyone who wants to maybe fan would be good. Give me again kind of the equivalent of like a sense motive to try and pick up more about the subtleties of what Russell might be thinking at the moment.
Yep.
So let's say that is intellect. Let's say difficulty 5.
I've got a communication flex skill up, so that works for that. So I'm trained.
Defo.
Intellect skill, so that's an effort. Difficulty 5, you say?
Yes.
Do I put another point of effort into it? Yes, because I really want to know what he's thinking. So I'm like trying to watch out, see the way his leaves bloom, and I imagine I think I can see something in them, but it's probably all bullshit. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is.
Nope. Yeah, it's all bullshit. Yes.
Let's see. I'm not quite going to punish you for that, but basically, as far as you can tell, the kind of spontaneous accord and like diplomacy, I guess, that was running before between your group and Russell has clearly now turned more to hostility, as he seems to basically be dismissive that you can be any help, and he in turn is very suspicious of you. You seem to be very much getting to the point of the situation here in a way that he is not exactly welcoming of, given that you're strangers that, from his perspective, have basically been the cause of this problem. And so he is basically giving you the cold shoulder at this point. You'd have to make some effort to get him to really respond to you in any meaningful way. Again, if you had something in particular that you wanted to get out of him.
I keep sniffing his leavings as well. That's probably not helpful.
But at the same time, I'm pretty much going to turn this around and basically make this a success on your part for no particular reason. But the other way that he is thinking about you is that, before you basically pledged to help him, he seemed to feel that he convinced you that you had a kind of debt or obligation to him, but he himself, let's say he essentially holds you in such low regard that he doesn't really expect anything from you in a somewhat derogatory fashion.
Okay.
So that is basically his kind of situation.
Right.
Okay,
Is
so
there
getting this on us?
Oh, but sorry, just to add one more thing. Having said that, he does feel that you seem to be rather powerful, given that you dealt a very serious kind of wound to this thing before, and he had assumed when you rocked up that you were much more readily powerful and that you would have no problem finishing this thing off. However, he seems somewhat disappointed that seems to not be the case, at least what he's seen of you so far.
is there anything very important looking around?
Well, there's, the temple itself, obviously, it seems to be a very powerful artifact.
Anything a bit smaller? Maybe man size and down?
Let's see. Yeah, so there's various kind of most of the workers seem to have various tools and implements that it's not immediately obvious what they do, but they seem to be reasonably kind of powerful tools and stuff. And there's various supplies and things lying around that they've been using to do up this temple. So if you want to be snatching on some of them, you can give me a speed roll. I'd say difficulty 5 because
I mean
you're surrounded by
more
people.
something that's a bit integral. Like if
Oh, okay.
if there was like a big crystal in the middle, then we could hold it hostage.
Okay. Interesting. Let's see. All right, give me a perception and Numenera roll. I'm going to say difficulty 6 again.
Never mind.
Yeah, it's not really obvious that there is anything like that, because most of the functionality of this temple seems to be basically tied into the things that are carved and arranged on the walls and how they relate to the circuitry and stuff, but there's no really obvious single centralized point of control. There's just lots of control panels that seem to control individual systems and things, and they're all having to be coordinated in a rather ad hoc fashion as they try and make the thing work. So you failed to really see a way to immediately take control of the temple from them immediately.
All right, no larceny.
So how else are you reacting? So basically, Russell seems content to leave you to do your thing as long as you're being helpful. But on the other hand, if you wanted to simply skedaddle, you probably would be able to find some way to do that. Or maybe you have other plans. Maybe you'll find out more about the graveyard and what lies below, or something else.
I mean, I mean, my thing is, I don't want to leave beings being tortured, forever.
I mean, they seem like to be kind of deserving of it, no?
Yeah, I mean, if
No.
there's some sort of like warlike race who's like ravaging the universe until they're imprisoned, and if they ever
Yeah.
escape,
I mean,
well, we know Russell wants to free them and recreate the army so he can go ravage the universe some more, and that's not really
yeah,
something I
well,
want to enable.
I'm not really even saying that they should be freed. I just mean I hate the idea of them being
Put out of their misery,
tortured.
essentially.
Yeah,
Oh, right, I see what you're saying. Yeah, I'd be okay with that.
just seems the more humane thing to do.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily.
Oh, we
I'm
can go
not
back
too
to the
fussed
graveyard
whether
then.
they're tortured or free. I mean, if it makes you happy, I'll go along with it. But I don't want to free them from their misery if it means just letting them roam about and
Mm-hmm.
maybe join an army. I mean, we don't know much about them. I'm really worried they're some sort of you're constantly regenerating something or other, and that's the only reason they're alive, despite the well. Do any of us know about radiation? Sorry, is it only minimum?
Minim knows
You
it
might
doesn't
have
feel very nice.
Yeah, you might have a vague understanding of it, but you might not understand so much, perhaps, that it's a problem of like, non-immediate afflictions and rather long-term ones that might
Let's-
not be completely obvious.
So I'd know, say, there's some sort of poison or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, that'll
Maybe think
work.
of it like that.
So yeah, we know that something. Yeah, we
Hyoyeon
don't know
might
that
have
they're not
like
just
an
something.
idea because she was, well, I mean, she was fiddling
Yeah.
around with Mother Mountain's nuclear reactors, but we know how well that went. So
Yes, Yoyon could say that. Worst case scenario, they all die, and I think that's probably a good thing. Maybe.
Yeah, I think, like, just as a slight sidetrack, I think that the way of, like, Hyoyeon is, a pretty advanced technician and, as it were, kind of scientist and engineer and all that kind of thing. I think that she would have a relatively advanced understanding of radiation in the effects that it has and the ways that it is associated with like power generation and advanced weapons and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But she wouldn't, like, even she, and probably not even like maybe the really highest levels of the priesthood, but basically no one else would really have what we would think of as a realistic understanding of physics in the sense of particles and forces and how they interact and all that kind of stuff.
so kind of like knowing that lead makes good bullets, but you shouldn't suck on it.
Yeah, exactly. But not knowing that lead ions are harmful to cellular processes and
But
stuff.
they taste so nice.
Sidetrack over. So you'd have a basic understanding that radiation is dangerous, but you probably wouldn't necessarily have a word for it per se. Cool. So you find yourselves free to make a decision on how to act.
Well, has anybody asked Russell about the fact that he looks the same as the guy
Yeah.
on the carpet?
Yeah.
And
Yeah, and
did he
that
say
is-
anything?
Well,
That's why
that
he's
is-
upset now.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's
he's
like
he's like, that's not cool, man. And he's,
wow.
Oh,
Okay, is it
also-
some sort of
Also, he didn't look like the alien in the carpet because that was a jellyfish. He looks like the aliens
yeah.
that were kind of just. He looks like the aliens that were, kind of had their faces all over the gravestones and we found in the sarcophagi and stuff.
yeah.
so some of the other. Oh yeah, because the jellyfish carpet thing was just wrapped up and shoved inside one. That was a bit weird.
Yeah, I think I kind of went over it before, but that is kind of like a memorial / evidence / just condemned corpse, basically.
Oh, so they may have actually killed one of these jellyfish.
Yeah,
thing
or
and
many
wrapped
of
in
them actually, according to.
Was it actually a carpet wrapped in, or just something that I wouldn't recognise as anything else?
Yeah, it was wrapped in something that is basically like a carpet or rug or blanket or something
Didn't
like
look
that.
ceremonial, essentially.
Exactly, yeah. And a lot of the things that you saw in the graves, they weren't like, these weren't like Egyptian sarcophagi where everything is neatly laid out and reverential and stuff.
Okay.
These are just like condemned, crime evidence and aftermath storage. Basically, everything is all just buried away. So yeah.
Okay.
So are you wanting to stay and do stuff in the temple, I guess, or are you wanting to venture out?
Well, I don't know if he's going to help us more.
Yeah, it seems like
But-
it's either we turn it into a combat encounter or we keep failing at diplomacy.
Something like that.
Yeah, let's. Okay, I'd say we go and let's go south and speak to one of the. I don't know. We can either speak to the giant mind, or we can speak to the little wolf. We'll discuss it on the way. Let's
Yeah.
let's leave this area before he gets.
Gets
Yeah.
nasty.
Okay, so you're kind of leaving the temple, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so as you leave, Russell kind of turns to you and his priests call out. Well, basically, I hope you don't do anything stupid out there, and leaves you with that.
Ah, that's never.
And he says, but I wish you luck, truly. And then turns back to his work, trying to direct these people as they attempt to take control of the temple. So as you step outside, not only is the temple itself basically glowing much more brightly, and the lights are kind of moving and reconfiguring and so forth. Also, several
From
of
the
the
outside.
Yep.
Is that? You say? Ooh, okay.
So again, the
Sorry,
outside
carry
of the temple looks like the lower picture on the right, and it's the tower on the right. So quite kind of ornate and
Okay.
somewhat advanced looking. And it is even the upper half starts to kind of rotate around, kind of like a combination lock, kind of swinging left to right in various combinations. So clearly this thing is basically
Everyone-
powering up. And also several of the surrounding buildings, which are mostly in much worse repair. Some of them are basically half collapsing as things inside them kind of move and start to glow and kind of power up. In some cases, just simply breaking the structure as it basically falls apart. But some of them seem to be powering up with some kind of auxiliary kind of functions. So that's what you see as you move past through the space. There's hardly any of these aliens or anyone else outside now. They've all gone back to the temple or attending to these various semi-functional buildings around it. And you have the Stationmobile parked reasonably nearby. Well, actually, you have to take like a kilometer walk to get back to it. But so are you going, I guess the first question, are you going to kind of go back to the Stationmobile or do something else? You're basically unattended at this point.
I mean, I think we should actually check out this mind, because maybe that will know what the deal is with all this.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Minim, yeah, how you can go through things. Can you turn invisible as well?
Minim has a toy that can do that, but not himself. No.
Okay.
As in,
You
I
have a
have a
toy
cipher
that can turn itself invisible.
it can turn the user invisible.
He can change phase, but I think
Okay.
that leaves him still invisible. Just...
Yeah. There's
You said you had a toilet that can do that.
I had
that would
toilets
be
first
a
12.
bizarre toilet. Also,
an invisible
what
toilet.
an awful cipher that would be. You kind of press a button and it goes invisible.
Yeah, sorry. So what is your course of action?
Well, I was thinking we could sneak in and maybe find some information, but then I remembered none of us speak our language, and we're not going to be translating for us when we're not there. So that's a bit pointless.
There is certainly a language barrier here.
So without a handy, mystical, glowing crystal to grab, I think it'll just be a waste of our time, effort, and ciphers.
Let's say, does anyone need new ciphers?
Yes.
Probably scavenge up a few at this point.
Now, one thing that I actually realized I can do that I haven't actually ever done, which we could, I can smell cipher in Numenera. So maybe I can just sniff some out for us.
Yeah, definitely. Well, as I mentioned, a lot of these outer buildings are not nearly so well attended, and they've not really been taken over by these aliens. So there is a lot of ancient detritus, and clearly this was, as well as being apparently some kind of religious site, it also clearly had technological purpose, and as such you were able to scavenge up various trinkets and so forth. Let's say, would 4 be enough?
Yeah, I need 1 or 2 ciphers. I haven't leveled up,
I
so I'm
can
not
take
sure.
up to 3, but whatever. I don't have to be on full.
Yeah, all
Tier
right.
5 now, aren't we? Just to clarify.
Yes, that is correct.
Tier 5 Jack still 3 ciphers.
You will have to check.
No, it should be 4 because even I can take 4, so I think Jax probably should have more.
All right, I'm
I
gonna roll
think
up.
Jack's
I'm
the
gonna roll
same
up.
as Glaives.
Yeah, I'm gonna
Yeah.
roll up 6 of them, and you can like first come first served until you're full. So
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, so many. A wish disc, a navigator demon, an instant guardian,
Wish disc.
a wish disc. I
think,
think we can't have that.
one
Make a
thing
wish.
that should be impressed on you by now is the sheer volume of force that is going to be involved in this conflict.
Are we looking these up, by the way?
Yeah, go for it.
Right.
Inertia shield
Where-
sounds interesting. Can
Yeah,
anybody
okay.
use shields?
Because I think at this point, like, you're high level enough that you would be able to identify a lot of this fairly easily.
Wish disc is a big deal, and it is necessarily level 10. You don't roll for it.
How big are we
Interesting.
talking?
It's like the wish spell in D&D.
Oh shit! Can it potentially go horribly wrong in amazing ways?
Let's find
I
out.
sure hope so.
This warping of reality can affect matter, energy, and time. Objects can be created or destroyed, creatures can be slain, and events from the past can be undone. Reality can be altered so that dead beings are still alive because they never die.
Wow.
Oh, we can
However-
restore Mother Mountain!
However, the minds of most users are insufficient to fully comprehend the vast implications of the reality they change. That's what I'm here for.
Yeah, I was just thinking.
This means that the wish fulfillment may not be entirely what they thought it would be. The repercussions are too varied to list, but here are a few examples. I guess I'll go through them. A complex
Yeah.
object created is brittle, of poor quality, or of substance that turns out to be dangerous. A significant change to the past results in a bubble of time-space in which the change occurred, trapping the user in a sort of limited closed dimension, even while normal unchanged reality continues outside the bubble. That's interesting. Creatures altered by the change develop health issues ranging from new allergies, blah blah blah. Oh, or minor ailments to cancer or mutations. Minds altered by the change suffer from long-term trauma, confusion, memory loss, or brain damage. Using a wish disc is taxing. The user moves 2 steps down the damage track.
Ooh, snap.
Nice.
Yeah. The inertia
That's
shield.
like an artifact, except for the fact that it's one use. But I like it. Yeah,
I'm-
definitely have
I'm not looking at anything else. I'm immediately taking that.
that.
The inertia shield basically protects you from nearly anything that could be perceived as an attack. Well, sorry, anything which is moving with a force sufficient enough to be constitute an attack. So you're basically immune to swords and bolts and arrows and lasers for 10 minutes.
If,
Probably
That's
not
pretty
immune
good.
to a very slow hug that becomes a very slow choke. But
cutting
aside from
yourself
that,
with tiny blades every day for years, you've built up an immunity to larger blades.
it could happen, yeah. So that could be useful, I think. I mean, I'll take that if nobody else has a need for it, but I'm
go for
sure somebody else might want it at some point. Just because it's definitely, it will have uses.
Yeah, seems like some useful tools you've rustled up here.
So I'll take that. What level is that? 1d6 plus 4.
Sorry, is that one inertia shield?
Inertia shield.
Yeah. Sounds like it sounds like, you know, exactly what it sounds like it'll do. Sounds like the shields they use in in Dune.
Level 9.
Wow,
Yeah,
okay.
never considered a shield one. Okay, that might be a bit difficult to use, but I'm sure it'll be fine.
We've got bags of effort now, but it's like
Yeah, I'm sure
in
it'll be
order to
fine.
activate it, you're taking about as much damage as ever you would save.
I'll spend all of it. I'll take it down to well, it makes me immune to damage, so I could quite happily walk into a room full of lasers and
Just
Yeah.
tank it. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, I'd suffer a lot, but it would make you immune to nearly everything. So if you need to do something like some high precision mechanical work or something, there's
I think-
definitely times where
Yeah,
it'd be
I
very
think
good.
because this is a pretty challenging situation, again, I'll just let you, if you want to adjust the level of these ciphers, hell, I'll let you go up or down if you want.
Oh, instant guardian sounds amazing. Oh, it's like you submerge it in water and it grows in 1 minute into a little bat-like creature that sits on your shoulder. So it's a bit like those inflatable dinosaur sponges you had when you were younger. Dunk it in water, it inflates, and yeah, that's nice. Thank you, Universal, for posting these. It basically jumps off your shoulder and intercepts attacks, so that's kind of cool.
Good.
Subdual field. What's that?
I think I want that instant guardian just because it's cool to have a little guardian thingy sitting on your shoulder. That sounds amazing.
'Cause we
It's only
need
like
more
20
pets.
hours. Yes,
Exactly.
yes, we don't all have pets, and
Yeah.
I think you're the only one with the pets currently, aren't you?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh,
You
yeah.
you keep leaving them behind.
Well, we had good reason to leave Bob behind.
You
We
know, if you
couldn't
love
take him away from his
something,
family.
you're gonna set it free.
Yeah.
That's how it goes.
Barracks is my pet anyway.
I mean, sure. Actually, I'm down with that. That's probably alright.
I'm trying to understand Navigator Demon. It's
I think it shows you that it's like GPS.
so it takes you to a stated destination for 20. Okay. So it guides you. So if we need to go somewhere that we know the name of or coordinates of, it can guide us there, presumably in an efficient way. Okay, that's
Yeah.
kind of cool. Then there's Destination Living Metal. I'm sure that'll come in useful.
Exactly. Yeah, I mean, if otherwise, I would, having a grenade always fun.
Does anyone have a preference?
Then
Well, I've got to step away.
I'll
From
take
it,
the-
so
I'll take the
whatever's
grenade.
left.
I'll take the grenade.
Cool. I'm going to throw in a couple of oddities as well, and whoever can take these. If they are interesting.
Okay, 1d6.
Ah, the subdual field sounds useful.
What's that do?
It makes people not dicks.
Ah,
They can't fight in the field.
What item do we have left? Sorry, anything?
I took the detonation thing.
Okay.
Uh,
And you're taking the small guardian, shoulder guardian guy, the instant guardian. That was it.
somebody else should have that. I
Oh,
took
okay.
something already.
Well, I'm more tempted by the Navigator Demon. Although from the name, it's definitely a Hoyon.
Did anyone
And-
take the
We've also got
inertia shield?
magic
Yes.
sun magnets
Yeah.
and a wood chipper.
Are these oddities?
Yeah.
yeah, the second two are.
Oh, it only works on plants. Oh, geez, this is like an anti-Bob thing.
It's a vegetarian wood chipper.
Just for the hell of it, I'm going to beef it up a bit and say it's not like whatever a handheld one.
Oh,
Like,
wait.
Pretty good job of,
only
like-
works on plants.
Yeah, so I'm going to say this could do a pretty good job of shredding a path through the jungle, for example.
I was thinking
It's a
of
wood
Russell,
chipper that you
personally.
wear on your front.
Yeah, let's
If it
say
came
it
to
probably
it.
would be pretty effective on Russell if it came to that.
Is it one that shows we have to feed something in, or does it, as you say? No, you say you can work for jungle.
I'm going to say it's basically like a strimmer.
Okay, yeah,
Nice.
this could be useful.
I'll take the instant guardian if no one else has taken it.
Right, let's
Yeah.
let's quickly run through the things. Anyone call out if they have taken them. So, inertia shield,
Yep.
instant guardian,
Yeah.
a subdual field,
What was the subdual field again? Did we
Makes,
not?
Makes
like
people
passively.
bros.
yeah,
Oh, that's more useful than the other field.
Oh,
I'll
you should
take
take
that one.
both of those.
Yeah.
You want to take that? Sorry, did you say?
No,
Right,
go ahead. Take
let's
them.
keep.
I can only have 4, so that's my cipher limits with this one. I'll leave a navigator one around.
All right, so navigator demon,
All right, I'll take that then.
cool. Detonation metal,
Yep.
and the wish disc. I think.
Yeah.
Is that.
Name's kind
right.
of holding this thing aghast.
Where did we find these items?
So these are basically littered among the semi-ruined smaller temples and buildings and things that are surrounding the main temple. And because there's no one really about, you're basically just free to pick them up.
Okay.
Cool. Okay, so you have equipped yourselves reasonably well, and obviously you have all of your usual equipment and stuff, and you're generally fully supplied and so forth. If anyone, I guess no one else needs to refresh their actions and stuff, but you are now once more free to act.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just.
So let's
writing-
say, at this point you can have made your way to the station mobile if that's where you're going.
Yeah.
I think we should check out this.
That's not how you do that. Sorry. Okay. Yep. Sorry.
So I guess first of all, so what's your general course of action that you want to be taking at this point? I think you mentioned something about wanting to check out the underground presence.
Yeah, it seems like our best bet. I mean, I'd like to see the other wolf dude personally, but I don't think he's going to be intelligent. He may just sit there rolling about and eating
Bear in mind,
strawberry and
it
We're not
seems
entirely
like
sure where
it's
it
not
is.
going to be too long before the Guardian has reformed.
yeah, maybe the other wolf's a bit too much of a. Yeah, I think sticking with the mind is a good idea. Although, is that just going to be minim? Because you said you can take somebody with you now, or is that a cipher? I can do that.
Yeah, it's a single cipher.
So, one
Okay.
thing you noticed about the graveyard is that as well as all of the ones that are, you know, stuck like mostly upright into the ground, except for all the ones that have been like knocked over or broken open by now, there is also a great store of them that are basically just buried, kind of higgledy-piggledy, under the ground, just like tossed into a kind of dump site, as it were, and then filled over. And there seem to be possibly larger structures and things beneath that as well.
Interesting.
However, if anywhere, this would probably be located somewhere around the heart of the graveyard, which is several kilometers across.
So, if we drive through this with Statesmobile, we're going to anger something again, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
So,
Probably.
I think we're in for a bit of a walk.
There is
Or we
the
could get to the boundary of it without.
Yeah.
yeah. Just to remind you, there is the path that you already churned through this thing, which
Yeah.
down the middle of it like this.
Wait, why aren't we taking the Statesmobile?
You are, I think. Well,
Oh, okay,
I mean,
right,
we'll
okay,
take it.
fine.
I was,
you have it if you want to use it.
yeah, I was concerned about the amount of damage it might do going through the graveyard again and considering the events that happened last time.
When a few of the graves that you disturbed started to move and conglomerate until it just kind of fell apart.
Yeah.
So let's not do that again.
No, let's not destroy these things twice. I'm starting to lean against Russell and stuff. He seems a bit.
Yeah, he seems a bit of a jerk.
He's definitely a bit of a jerk, and I think he was just using us to try and kill off this thing that for his own reasons, whatever they may be. So,
Exactly.
Yeah, let's not trust that guy.
I think
Plant.
Hmm?
Sorry?
that would be good for everyone,
Yeah.
Yes.
apart from Russell.
Yeah. Well, screw Russell.
So, yeah, I think we just
He's
need
no
more
problem.
information. There's just so little.
He's not helping us.
No, he's a lying liar who lies.
He is. He's quite a rude man. Plant. Alien.
And maybe giant brains are smart. Maybe they can tell us what to do.
Well,
I figured that probably at this point Zion's just kind of like muttering to himself, like, I told you couldn't trust an alien.
Yeah, good point.
I'll be honest. Our past experience
Does it ever
with
come from a giant,
giant-
jar?
with giant brains hasn't helped us too much. I mean, there was that first guy we met who was pretty damn big and I think had quite a big brain, but he was kind of hungry and a bit mean. Ate all the sheeps. Remember? First guy we encountered on our very first mission? Seems like so long ago now.
But he was so tasty.
Yeah, to be fair, I mean, we shouldn't judge people for being hungry when Minim ate the guy who ate all the things.
Well, worst case scenario, if this mind turns out to be some evil entity or a bit of a jerk,
Yeah, we just eat him.
eat him too. And do you get his powers then? Do you get the power to stop
Yes,
this thing?
yes, that's how that works.
Nice. Yeah, let's do that. That sounds like a good plan.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
All right. So
Minim's
how?
going to eat this brain, and I've lost track of what our plan is beyond that.
So you probably, well, ultimately, if you're wanting to get close to this thing, you at least need to go into the graveyard. You probably need to find some way to get. It is indeed located in a particular place underground. Getting there somehow would probably be good. And you've also got to bear in mind that parking the Stationmobile up in the middle of the graveyard might be dangerous.
Yeah, that doesn't seem like the greatest idea.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure Stace and Japham can guard it, and if we end up in some
Yep, true.
terrible situation, we can drive it away and abandon us here, but come pick us up later, just in the nick of time.
Let's go ahead and say that Station is going to be able to drive you down through the path you already cleared, as it were, without disturbing a minimal amount of the graveyard, except for the fact that you're still going to be driving over all the stuff that's underground. He can drop you off, let's say roughly in the middle of it, and then he can withdraw. And in fact, let's go ahead and say that the Stationmobile basically has kind of artillery type capabilities, so he can stand off and do some artillery strikes if you such a thing.
We can't lose. We've got him on our side.
Basically, the Stationmobile is the Prowler from PlanetSide 2.
Yeah, something like that.
Nice.
Cool. Okay, so yeah, is that?
I reckon Minim's probably got his spook phones back on at this point, trying to get more of a bead on exactly where this coalescence of, frequencies are kind of originating from.
All right, let's say give me so as you're kind of approaching, the Stationmobile is kind of rumbling and jerking over the rough terrain, and you're listening in on the so as you get close to the graveyard, you can once again hear the just general caterwauling of lamentation and grief and remorse that emerges from this place. And in trying to kind of you get Stationmobile maybe to wheel around the outskirts of it, so you can kind of try and triangulate it a bit. So give me a Numenera roll. Difficulty 6 again, I guess. So even though you are extremely skilled and sensitive in this kind of matter, these are simply the kind of subtleties and inferences that almost no normal human would be able to make. Even the high priests will be able to pick up on these kind of things. In this case, you are able to pick up on a general location, which kind of, as you may have guessed, is roughly in the center. In fact, let's say it is right. So it's a bit zoomed out, so it's difficult to indicate stuff. But you see the path in the middle? In the big cluster of graves, which is just to the right of it, is roughly where this thing is located. So you could, so Station could stop you off just to the left of that in the path.
Okie dokes. Yeah. I also, as we're driving up to that point, Minim looks, suddenly looks very intently at the group, and says to them that he can go down there, but he doesn't necessarily know what he'll be able to do. He's basically saying that it could be very dangerous and he might need help. And he reaches into his eye and pulls out a. I'm just flavouring up this cipher because he's been holding on to it since session 1. So I'm going to say that he's had it since he even turned up in the dimension. This is a different kind of cipher. And he reaches into his eye, which, as you'll recall, are basically just black,
Kind of
empty pools of abyss. And he pulls out what looks to be a two-dimensional mark that you would more expect to find on paper or something. It doesn't look like it's a physical thing. It's a mark of sort of broken concentric circles, and it's completely two-dimensional, and it sort of sticks to his finger. And he says, "This is something from my father, which will only last. This is a part of my father which will only last so long as it is with me. If it goes on anyone else, if I give it to anyone else, it will fade from this dimension, but you'll be able to do what I can do for the small amount of time that you have it. So someone could come with me, but it may be a one-way trip if there's no normal people way out.
Well, I mean, I'm willing.
Yeah, I'm always down. No, I just climb him on the arm, totally unperturbed. He's like, "Oh, heirloom, so much fun. Sure, let's do this."
Well, only one of us can go down with you, you say. So I guess it's a case of who's the best man for the job, or lady, or snake person. Not judging.
Well, Takuna, I guess you can make the
Minim
choice.
sort
I thought I
of
could arm wrestle for it.
Minim sort of looks at Phaeon and sort of winces and shakes his head. Then looks back at Nye and Varax, who are both like,
I'm like sort of subtly flexing.
big dudes.
I'm looking extremely agile.
Sort of,
One
it's like,
bonus.
I point upwards while doing that sort of bodybuilding pose. It's like, oh, look, what's up there? Oh, no, now there's something down there. Oh, let me pick
Minim's
this
like, arm wrestle.
up. Nice.
Okay.
Maybe they've done this before, and he's just said, you should do that thing. You should do your test of strength.
Sure, we arm wrestle.
Yeah, alright, so I guess both of you make a... let's see. You're both the same level. Okay, I guess it would be... okay, what is each of your might?
21.
20.
Oof, okay, so... let's see...
Maybe the one with 21 gets a bonus of 1 to a roll.
Nah.
Bonus of 3.
Okay, I guess
Like-
I mean I guess it's just going to be each roll 1d20, and Varex gets a +1 kind of bonus to his roll.
Right. I think it should be 3 because of the, because skills in Numenera go up in 3s. Does that seem fair?
Alternatively,
So
one of
so
you
like
roll to
like
set the
3 rolls and
difficulty.
best of 3. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, maybe one of you roll to set the difficulty, and then the other person rolls to beat that difficulty. In true Numenera fashion.
All right, let's just roll with it. Okay, so Varex has rolled an 18. So Nye, see if you can beat an 18. No,
well.
all right. And we're gonna do best of 3. All right, so
Okay.
you set yourselves up on the table. Nye, you
I'll go
flex
first
your
this time.
fingers and your wiry forearms can be seen shifting under the skin, and you just slap your hand onto Varex's tail, and then he just instantly slams you down.
Ooh.
All right,
So the
Varex
second time
is
you
now-
beat me, and I sort of, I grin at you and I punch you in the arm with the other. It's like, good one.
I figure at this point,
Alright.
Stason Jatham is kind of crushing the steering wheel in his hands, cursing the fact that he's the driver.
All right, so
The last one.
Let's see what you got, Snake Tits. Yet.
Oh, snap!
Nice.
all right.
Go,
I have a
Pa.
question. Is Nye in some way cheating to achieve this, like maybe using like a knife or a blade and like bracing herself against the table under the table leg under the table or something like that, or is it just that she kicks his ass?
Like it. I think I'm almost like just encouraging Varex to like.
Well, in my mind, basically,
way,
I am
essentially.
way stronger, but she has like A, I don't have proper hands, which is a bit of an issue, and B,
Well,
as
you
far
just
as I'm
Also,
You
Nye
just don't
grew
have
up
proper
on a vertical
joints.
surface.
exactly. Yeah, and so she just basically she has much better leverage. So she, how like when arm wrestling is not just in the muscles, it's also like how you shift the arm, the hand.
I've like wedged my legs under the table and they're like
Oh.
pushing against the surface.
She
Yeah,
has
it's that
less
over the top
leverage.
grip
You have
thing.
flexibility.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Over the top. Have you seen that movie? The arm wrestling movie with Sylvester Stallone.
heard
There is
of
that
it.
like special
There's an
evil
arm
grip that
wrestling
you're not supposed to do.
What? That's not a real movie, is it?
Wow.
Yes,
This
it
is.
is.
I'm guessing
Oh my God,
I'm
what is
guessing
this
arm
movie?
wrestling would have been quite popular in Nye's home village as a way to pass the time.
It's like
You
go
can't
for
alright.
watch. You probably have strong arms.
So in any case, the wiry climbing lady manages to beat the hulking snake monster in an arm wrestling contest, and as a result, she gets to volunteer. I think that's what you're doing, right?
Yeah.
So you
Yeah,
and
I
I
guess
get
so.
to volunteer to go down into the underground with Minim.
I prop you though. Like I think this is awesome. High five.
Sorry, I just couldn't bear the thought of anything happening to you.
Right.
Oh.
So that nice. So that leaves Barracks and Fayan up top. I guess, do you want to be just, on foot in the kind of graveyard, or do you want to be back in the Stationmobile with Station? If you want, the Stationmobile can stay here in the middle, or what do you want to do?
It depends. Whereabouts are Minim and are
So
Minim and I
they're-
planning on coming back in a certain spot, or
Well, it might be worth looking for, entrances or exits to a thing underground.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I mean, you definitely got the
Yeah.
impression
Other
that
clues of any kind.
this is very broken ground that this graveyard is built on, and you didn't really encounter any just in your little foray in there, but you kind of get like there seem to be kind of looming structures and kind of semi-submerged. They almost seem like in a building, or maybe what do I call them, like kind of mausoleum type structures or things like that. So there are possible access points just into the lower strata of this kind of grave dump that you may be able to find.
okay. Yeah, we'll go wander.
Yeah.
All right, in that,
Fayan and
in that
Barracks
case,
is
let's
grand
actually,
adventure.
yeah. Right. So I guess let's first have you roll basically just perception, or if you have pathfinding or anything like that.
Is this
to-
sorry or Minim?
So this is going to be the people up top who are Barracks and Faye, and although Nye is still going to be here, so maybe Nye you can roll pathfinding to basically see if there's any obvious entrances or anything around here. There might be a way for the top to kind of investigate as a way to find their way down to you, or to find an escape route for you.
What's the difficulty?
What?
Oh, and let's say difficulty, I don't know, 4.
Okay.
Okay, untrained, spending effort.
Nice.
I just tried to walk in the
Nice.
opposite direction
Yeah.
and realise where everyone's going.
You just start investigating a strange chest-looking thing that's nearby as you get distracted by it. And meanwhile, Barracks, with his advanced senses, and Nye, with her general pathfinding expertise, are able to find basically there's even the buildings here seem to have been almost kind of torn up from their foundations and then just basically dumped in this place along with all the graves and everything. So you find basically a very heavily tilted, so that kind of one of the walls is kind of pointing upwards but at an angle, almost a kind of church or small cathedral looking thing. It's kind of very ornate and complicated, and it's kind of sunk into the graves here. It's rather decayed and covered in just other graves and broken beams and stuff, but there does seem to be a path that leads in there, and kind of you see some kind of entrances and stuff down in the shadows that lead further into the interior. So that's a possible path downwards.
So yeah, I guess I'll just call out and tell people that, hey, I think we can go this way.
Is that anywhere
Are
near
we-
the frequency emanations?
Let's say it's kind of on the border of the large cluster of graves in which the signal seems to be emanating. So it's not a sure bet that this leads in a direct path to the same place, but you kind of get the impression that there's a lot of like open space and like little artificial caves and stuff that are buried here. Like it's rather loosely clustered. It's not really condensed or compressed. So there may be paths downwards, although it's difficult to immediately tell. The only surefire way to get down there is for Minim and Nye to warp down there.
Is Varric
I mean,
still?
worse-
Is Varric good at smelling things still,
Yeah,
or is that
definitely.
just for Numenera?
Nope, he's just got a generally good sense of scent as well. So if he
Alright.
gets,
Do you think it would be more advantageous to have
Minim reminds Varric of the wonderful pomander that he keeps on his person at all times.
Oh yeah, true. So if Varric
Also gives the spider to them, just in case there's some sort of something goes wrong.
Is
so,
the spider friendly? Does it bite?
It seems friendly.
Seems friendly. Okay, I'll look after this. Wait, no, did you give it to Varric specifically? 'Cause I will not
It
snatch
just
from
sort of
Varric's.
runs over to you and climbs on
Okay.
Fayen's shoulder.
it just
Whether or
I think
not he
just
likes it very
perches
much.
on his bald head.
Yes.
I will. If I can see any fly-like things, I'll catch one and feed it to him. But that may take
Fayen
a
now
while.
has a spider hat.
I guess you're
Okay.
pretty used in your drug-fueled excursions to just random creatures.
I do have those dragonflies.
Yeah,
I
true.
should give him a dragonfly. I mean, I'm sure it's fine. I won't give him too much. It's just a little. It won't hurt him much.
All right,
Sure.
so you feed one of your special dragonflies that you've been saving back
Great.
since the village of the Blepharon to this thing.
I leave my child in your care, and you feed him drugs.
Oh yeah, well,
Fine, it's fine. Fine.
Worst
okay,
babysitter ever.
So it seems like
Yeah.
Varric and Fayen have a path downwards, but in the meantime, so are you going to be warping away Minim and Nye?
Yes.
Okay.
And how does that?
Need to know-
How does it look for the others as you walk away?
Well, Minim sort of reaches back into his eye, pops out the mark, which is kind of like stuck on the end of his finger, and presses it into Nye's face.
Undignified as this is, I'll say this is a great honor. I'll try to be worthy of it.
Then I'm kind of imagining that she's going to be pretty immediately racked by spasms as her being semi-phases out of existence or
Maybe,
into
like,
another plane or
Trips
something.
over the
Shit, what have
trips
you
over
done
the
to
floor
me?
because it's not there anymore.
Or maybe it's kind of like I don't know if you've seen the Adventure Time episode Wizard Eyes, which is about the Ice King. Finn gets accidentally put into like the astral plane basically, and then it's revealed that constantly, because the Ice King has wizard eyes, it means that he can just see all these horrible, like unpleasant, like astral beings that are just surrounding everyone all the time. And I kind of imagine it's a little bit like that.
That's very, very Doctor Strange.
Yeah, I kind of imagine it's like that for Nye, is suddenly all kinds of like weird denizens of the altar planes are revealed to him as having been, to her, as having been around her all the time.
Bastard, this is a nightmare. Ah!
And as you're doing that, I'm thinking you're getting like sucked and swirled down into the floor along with Minim, like you're getting trapped into a Ghostbusters trap or something.
Bollocks, 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 bollocks.
Minim just grabs her hand and drags her underground.
Nice. All right, and so on that note, let us take a 10-minute break.